remember, lawyer up.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. I missed you guys. This is the fourth episode of the Lawyer Up with Steve podcast on Boss Up Houston Network. How's everybody doing? Hope you're doing great. Hope you all are making it with this tough weather we have outside. But again, I have a lot to tell you, and I have a lot that I'm going to try and help you with. Again, just basic information about me. And this show is giving you legal tips to help you out with many different legal issues that you come across in your lifetime. I'm not going to teach you how to do complex things like file your taxes or anything that's, broker agreements. I'm going to teach you some basic things that everybody, encounters just to give you the tips to get a leg up on life. So, who am I? I'm an attorney that practices primarily in Fort Bend and Harris County. I also practice in different aspects across the state and across the country as well. I have clients in different parts of the country, and I do a variety of legal issues. So I'm not going to just stick into one legal issue, talk about just family law, or talk about just estate planning, or talk about criminal law. I'm going to talk about a little bit of everything just to give everybody, spice up your education. Let's just put it that way. So today, what are we talking about? The name of the episode is called What's in a Name? And of course, what's in a name? That by which we call a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. For all you theater buffs out there, that's a little William Shakespeare for you. This is about name changes and what it takes to get your name changed. How it happens, why it happens, and the process for completing one. Because, we want to make sure that if you're considering wanting to change your name, change your child's name, change a nephew's name, you know the proper ways to go about it. And you may think that you can get a name change for just about any reason, but newsflash, and I might burst your bubble with this one, there are certain things that you have to remember when getting a name change, because you can't always get a name change for the reason that you may think. But you might have a legitimate reason for getting that name change, which is great. But I'm going to go through all of that with you and provide all the steps, all the details, and fill in any gaps that you might already have in your knowledge of trying to get a name change. So when we come back, I will go ahead and jump right into it and talk name changes today. We'll be right back.
Wanna be a boss? You're watching Boss Up Houston Network. It's Boss Up Houston, where we look up, stay up, and boss up.
Welcome back, Lawyer Up with Steve. We are here talking about changing your name. Now, I don't mean changing your name to the most difficult name in the world. I don't mean changing your name to a number. I'm talking about just changing your name to whatever it is you want to change your name for. Maybe you just got into a new family. Maybe you're adopting someone. There's a lot of different reasons, but we're going to go into it. So, one of the things that you should know about granting a name change is that you can get a name change for almost any legitimate reason. But there are several reasons why you cannot get a name change. And I know I'm going to burst some bubbles here, but let me get into that. So, escaping debt liability or hiding from criminal liability. So, a lot of times people want to get a name change because they have a lot of debt, or they've done some things wrong in the past criminally, and they want to evade that. Well, the law will not let you do that. So you can't run away from any of those things. Can't change. This is pretty basic, but you can't change your name in order to commit a crime. So if you change your name, you go by a different alias, you commit some type of crime. Say you rob a bank. It's pretty self-explanatory. You can't do that. They will go ahead and, well, even if you changed your name and then you committed the crime, they will still link you to the person, the name that you were in any instance. So it's pretty self-explanatory. You can't change your name with the intention to mislead, which usually involves taking the name of a famous person. Now, courts typically do not allow this unless you have a convincing reason that is related to the famous person or the use of his or her name. So I cannot change my name to LeBron James because there already is a LeBron James. He's very popular. Unless I can come up with some kind of compelling reason that I want to have the name LeBron James, more than likely the court is going to shoot that down. So, ladies, you can't be called Beyonce Knowles. It's just one of those things. You can't choose a confusing name that includes numerals or punctuation. Although courts have permitted people to spell out numbers, for the example, 7 instead of the number 7. So there are names that include numbers, spell it out, that might be permissible, but it's just on a case-by-case basis. But you can't just say, I want to be called Red 13, that they're not going to allow, that type of thing unless, you spell out 13 or you have a reason for doing so. But it's a little bit confusing. And you can't choose a name that would intimidate, offend, be considered obscene, or used as a racial slur. Now, that kind of goes without saying. I won't say all the different types of obscenities and racial slurs. This is a family show, so. But you can't do it. You can't take on any names, that are going to be used in a very threatening manner. That includes, a racial slur or anything that may be comfortable for you to say, and around your friends and your family, but you can't have a legal name change into one of those things. Now, what are the reasons for a name change? The most common reasons for a name change are if you're getting married and you're getting a divorce. Those are the two biggest reasons. And what do you need for that? When you are getting married, all you need is your marriage license. Then you can go to the appropriate authorities and then change your name. And then for divorce, what you need is the divorce decree signed by a judge stating that he or she has granted you that name change. So the fact that you get a divorce does not automatically mean you get to change your name. And Steve, why do you say that? Well, a lot of times people forget to include in the divorce decree that they want a name change. And a lot of times that is for you ladies out there. You may have changed your name and changed your last name to his name, but you forgot to request in the petition that you wanted to change your name either back to your maiden name or some other name. So one of the big things is if you are getting a divorce, just make sure that you have that provision within the decree that you can go, that the judge will grant you to change your name. And sometimes if you're in front of the judge, let's say you did your divorce pro se, the judge will ask you, are you requesting a name change? And that is your other opportunity to go ahead and say, yes, judge, I want a name change. And then they will either modify the order there on the spot, if you're lucky, or they will ask you to submit an order that has that request for name change within it. So, a lot of the more famous name changes I'm going to go through, and we'll break that down a little bit and discuss, why those name changes may have happened. We have the Lieutenant Governor of Texas. His name is Dan Patrick. Now, that wasn't always his name. He changed his name, according to him, because that was a name that he used on his radio show. It was more of a trade name, and he changed it not too long after he was going through some bankruptcy proceedings. So a little bit of controversy out there to say, okay, well, did he try to do that to escape some of his prior liabilities, or did he actually do it because he wanted to take on that moniker as his actual name, his radio name to his actual name? So that's one of the more non-entertainment celebrities that changed their name. Of course, now for the celebrities, everyone knows Puff Daddy changed his name to P. Diddy. Prince changed his name to the artist formerly known as Prince, which is one of the longer name changes that I've seen. And of course, if you watch basketball, you watch the NBA, Ron Artest changed his name to Meta World Peace. So there are a lot of different instances of changing your name out there. But the reasons for that usually are either personal, or they can also have to do with business. A lot of people change their names to identify as with the popularity of a certain brand or a certain product. So we are going to get into that in our next segment. So when we come back, I will talk about the differences between a name change, a DBA, an LLC, and a trademark. We'll touch on that briefly, and we'll give you that knowledge. So stick around.
Hello again, Stafford. We are extremely proud of the diverse community we have in Stafford.
We need you to get out and vote for Cecil Willis.
Hello.
Breakfast at TV, take one. That's all it's gonna take.
Riggin' Daddy's on the beat.
Wine, dime, killing time, heard it through the grapevine. The type of you that like to get dime anytime. Wine, dime, killing time, heard it through the grapevine. You the type of you that like to get dime anytime. Wine, dime, killing time, heard it through the grapevine. And you the type of you that like to get dime anytime. Northeast sipper, Moet, Patron flipper. Do you the type of girl that like to pull down the zipper?
I like that shoe.
Etouffee, appetizer. After this, I'm digging your thighs. Real debonair's eye. Look in your eyes. You gotta squirt upon your
Go sit down, baby. Go sit down.
and I'm impressed with your waist, with you shaping your thigh. Compliment you on your booty and your hair and your booty. Hey.
Here you go, baby.
Wine, dine, killing time, heard it through the grapevine. And you the type of dude that like to get dine anytime. Comfort zone with you.
Cut.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Steve Okoraha on the Lawyer Up with Steve podcast. So what we were talking about before was the different name changes that have happened, what reasons you can and can't get a name change. Hope you learned quite a bit from that. What we're going to talk about now is the differences in the different ways you can get a name change for what you want to do. And also, added bonus, I forgot to tell you guys this before the break, we're going to talk about the differences between getting an adult name change and a child name change. There's a lot of similarities, but just a little bit of differences. So we're going to go into that right now. So, I told you before the break, you can get a name change in court. But maybe you run a business and maybe you want to use that name as your name in order to sell products or give services. So a step up from that would be to actually go and file a DBA. Now, what is a DBA? It means doing business as. So you go and file with the county clerk that you want to have this business name. And that allows you to transact business, to do business in the city, in the county, as that name. Now, can anybody else use that name? Yes. In surrounding cities and other cities, if you live in Houston, if someone else goes and files it in El Paso, that's fine. There's, you can have conflicting names. But you're saying, Steve, well, what's the point of that if someone can take my name? Well, that's when you go another step up and you go ahead and file as a company, an LLC, an S Corp, a C Corp, a nonprofit. That you file with the state of Texas, and of course I'm only talking Texas because I'm certified to practice Texas law. But you go ahead and file your name as a company, and that way you have secured that name in the state of Texas. No one can go ahead and file that name and use that. So if you use a certain name for your business, you put it on your t-shirts, you put it on your banners and everything, you should go ahead and consider creating a company, a registered company with the state of Texas. You'd file with the Secretary of State. The most common entity that you would file is an LLC, a limited liability company. And if you want to discuss more details about that, I can definitely do that. And then, of course, the most protection on that name is to go on a federal level, because, hey, just because you have that name in the state of Texas doesn't necessarily mean that somebody in Michigan, can take your name and start using it. So you want to go as far as filing a trademark application. And you're just basically telling the federal government, hey, this name I've been using, I use it in the course of business. I have products, I have services with it. I've been using it for this long. I want to trademark it so that I can defend, if anybody else cannot use it, and I can defend myself and state that I have been using it for this length of time. So that is the strongest protection for a name in the course of business. Now, of course, if you just want to change your name because it's you want a new name, then just go ahead and get a regular name change. But like the example I gave with Dan Patrick, he probably had Dan Patrick as a name used in the course of business, which then he said, okay, well, I just want to change my personal name to it, and he already had it because he owned it, and that's probably why he went ahead and did that. Now, I don't know for sure, but that's just what I'm speculating as to why he would have changed his name to Dan Patrick. So those are the different instances, where you can change your name, or at least reserve a name to be used without actually changing your personal name. The next thing we're going to talk about now is adult name changes versus child name changes. Now, for adult name changes, it states that the court must find good and sufficient reason for the change, and the change has to be consistent with the public interest. So, like I said, you can't use racial slurs, you can't use threatening language, no curse words, nothing like that. That is something that wouldn't really, the court will not agree with. That is in the public interest for you to have that name. And then if the change of name is for a minor child, the main thing that the court is worried about is that change is in the best interest of the child. And what does that mean, Steve? That means that you cannot change. I'll give you one scenario. You can't change the child's name because you don't like the father, or the father may not necessarily be doing things that you like. You can make the case that the father is absent and has been absent since the child has been born, and you want to change the child's name so that you can register them in school without any obstacles. You can be identified as the actual parent, which you are. So if it's in the child's best interest that the name be changed, and you make these arguments to the court, then you're able to get the child's name changed. So let me give you a few requirements of what goes into the petition. For an adult name change, you need name and your place of residence, your sex, your race, your date of birth, and social security number, the full new name requested, whether you've been subject to a felony conviction, and whether you are subject to register as a sex offender. So again, that goes into the whole trying to evade criminal liability. They want to know what your record has been so they can see if you are, for any reason, trying to evade being associated with some of your past negative deeds. Your driver's license number, any offense above a Class C misdemeanor, which would probably be traffic tickets, parking tickets. Those are usually Class C misdemeanors. Anything above that, they would want to know. Info on any outstanding warrants. Of course, that goes back into the criminal liability. A signed FBI number or state ID number, same thing. And then also a legible and complete set of fingerprints. They want to do a thorough search and make sure that, not in all instances, but in some instances, they want to make sure that A, you are the person you say you are, and then B, they're going to match up your new name with those set of fingerprints so that they have that on file. For a child, similar stuff: name, residence, reason for name change, full name requested, and then they want to know if another court has continuing and exclusive jurisdiction or not. And what does that mean? It means that if you've had a case in another court, then you should be filing that name change in that court. When you file a new case, most of the time, unless you file it into a previous case, you're given a new court, a new judge, a new case number. They want to make sure that there is no court anywhere in the country that has dealt with that child before, because once it starts there, it has to end there. And unless the case gets transferred here, or the court that the child originally originated out of gives any deference to the new court, you have to go ahead and file it in that old court. So just something that you remember, you need to keep in mind. And then, of course, if the child is 10 years or older, the child will need to give their written consent. They deem the age of 10 to be the age where a child can give consent to changing their name. So you can't go and change your 16, 17-year-old child's name without he or she saying whether or not they want to change their name. So, but yeah, these are just really the basic things that you need to keep in mind. Of course, as usual, I have all the documentation available. You can give me a call. I'm going to give you my contact information so that you can go ahead and get everything laid out for you in a pretty picture. But when we come back, I'll give you just some last minute tips, a little bit about what you're going to need in order to get this name change done. I'll give you my contact details, and we will part for the day. So we will be right back.
City council for 36 years, and I've learned a lot from Mayor Scarcella. We have a lot of conversations over those 36 years. We have 4 candidates with 4 different visions for staffers. Mine is just stay in the course because it works. So, how long have you lived here? 5 years. Did you live somewhere in Stafford before that? Or? No, you got to Stafford as quick as you could. I love it. Yeah, that's great. And thank you so much.
To you, thank you for giving this that sign. I'm going to put it here. Yeah, I'm going to. Okay.
I just wanted to let you know, this sign and this post right here is going to put me over the top.
Yeah,
We're going to win with this sign.
definitely.
Well, thank you and your
Yeah, we
family.
will support you.
It's a pleasure
Yeah, you will get all the support from this area.
Good. Thank you. Alright, here we are, still on the road to Campaign Trail in Stafford. We're going to check on some local businesses to see how they're doing during this pandemic. Okay?
Yeah.
Cecil Willis, I'm running for Mayor Stafford. I'll drop those by.
Oh, okay.
You been doing okay during this pandemic?
Yeah, we're okay. Everybody will be okay.
Yeah, well, it seems that everybody in Stafford has learned to adapt how to operate their business. And
Welcome back, everybody. You're on the Lawyer Up with Steve podcast. Hopefully you've learned a lot about what it takes to get a name change, how you can do it, all the different ins and outs of doing it. Just want to make sure you have a little bit more details about what you need to do in order to get that done. Make sure that when you're filing the petition and the order, that you do it in the county where you live. Usually there are residency requirements, and you want to make sure that you are filing it in the county where you live so that the court can establish those residency requirements. You can establish the residency requirements for the county that you live in. You want to make sure that you have any and all supporting documents when filing. If there are different instances where you need some backup documents, you want to make sure that you have those ready so that you can file it with the court when necessary. If for a child, you have to make sure that you get every parent served. And what does that mean? You have to make sure that the other parent or anyone that has custody or guardianship or power, not power of attorney, but mainly guardianship and custody, you want to make sure that parent has been notified of the suit. So again, you cannot change a child's name without both parents or both custodial parents having some type of notification. They've been served with a citation from the court. And then, most importantly, and this is just to get across the finish line, if the name change has been granted, then you want to make sure that you get a copy of the decree for the Bureau of Vital Statistics, for the Department of Public Safety, aka the DMV, as well as the Social Security Administration. So that's going to allow you to change your birth certificate, your driver's license, and your Social Security card. Those are the three things that are most important in order to show that your name has been changed and you no longer associate yourself with the prior name. So that's pretty much it. As I told you, I also have a lot of information that can help you with this. I have a little booklet here called Name Changes in Texas. This is published by the Texas Young Lawyers Association, so I have plenty of these. You can come and get them for free. You don't have to pay for them. I promise if you walk through the door, I will not charge you. But if you ever need any information, you can definitely come to my office and pick one up. My contact details, email again, contact@goodmanmcgill.com. Phone number, 833-529-9748. My website is www.goodmanmcgill.com, and I am also on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. So feel free to reach out to me in all of those many ways, and ask me whatever questions you have about your legal issues. Tell me about the show, what you like about it, what you don't like. I'm open and I'm all ears all the time. So, and remember, when life gets you down, remember to lawyer up. Thank you guys, and we'll see you next week. Have a good one. Everything that I heard today, I definitely think we can lawyer you up today. Tune into the Lawyer Up with Steve podcast on the Boss Up Houston Network. Come get your questions answered. We'll see you then. And remember, lawyer up.